me shelter. Simple life, it's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter. Yeah.
So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is an exciting night. We have with us in studio one of our own elders. As usual, I am your host, Ayiti Williams. This is the We2 Movement platform. As we all know, we start our show by saying that we're not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers, but rather we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. So backstage, we have Mr. Samuel Jackson. We're supposed to have Mr. Gebah Kamara, who would not be with us tonight. Hopefully he joins us. And also Mr. Nancy Doe, for some reason, would not be able to join us tonight. But for the most part, 1 second. Seems like Nat is called. Nat. Yeah, we're starting the show. I'm on the show now. We're starting that. Mr. Jackson just I was just kind of in the dust. All right, I'll call you back. All right.
Yeah, so I give him my wife her food and she's happy. Now we can rock and roll.
Yes, Mr. Jackson, I want to welcome you to our podcast or our platform. This is the We2 Movement platform, the platform that speaks to and for the masses. We opened our show by saying that we're not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we're in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. So welcome, Mr. Jackson. This is our platform. This is how we do. We're excited to have you with us to come and share time and space. Yeah. The floor is now yours. I know behind the scene, we have a little talk, and hopefully you know.
Well, I mean, look,
welcome.
I'm just a boy, born in Suriname, and grew up in on the edges of Gay Town. And I went to the United States when I was a young man, and I made my life there, and I'm very happy. I'm going to be 72 years old next month. My background is basically economic empowerment. I learned how to raise a lot of money when I was on Wall Street. I was a trade finance officer as a young boy, Chase Manhattan Bank. Before that, I worked for Bank of America, in credit and marketing. Then I worked for Drexel Burnham Lambert in the bond trading division, municipal bonds. And for the last post-war Liberia, I've just been concerned about Liberian economic empowerment. I wrote a book on why we are poor. We're poor because we don't know how to create wealth, we don't know how to maintain wealth, and we don't know how to cooperate. And all of the elements of wealth creation, which is honesty, discipline, a purpose, singularity of purpose. If you notice that every country that has done extremely well, the people are united and they have a single focus, is prosperity. You look at Singapore, you look at Bermuda, you look at Switzerland. What's the population of Switzerland? Just go Google that, and I'm going to go Google it right now. Population of Switzerland. And to see what the GDP is, population. Switzerland. Okay. What does it say?
Let me get in my phone. I was trying to get to sharing the show, but let me find that real quick.
Population of Switzerland, right?
Yes.
That's.
Oh, man.
It's going to come out, okay?
Yeah.
I just want people to understand 8.8 million people.
Amazing.
That's it. 8.8 million, said 9 million people. But what is the GDP of Switzerland? GDP Switzerland. 884.9 billion.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Think about that. Just think about that. 9 million people have the productive capacity of nearly 900 billion. You're hitting almost $1 trillion. Think about that.
Wow.
Now, let's go to Singapore. Population of Singapore. Singapore population 5.9, just about almost the same as Liberia.
Liberia.
Yes. Now let's go to the GDP per capita of Switzerland. GDP per capita
GP.
per capita of Singapore. 84 billion. See that?
Yeah.
84 billion.
Yeah,
So,
84. 84.
That tells you
Yeah.
the productive capacity of countries is totally unrelated to population. What is related to is what? Productivity, hard work, discipline, and social cohesion. The Swiss are very united. In all of the wars, you remember Switzerland has always been neutral, right?
Right.
The $90 billion that Singapore was one of the poorest countries in the 1940s. Singapore is now one of the richest countries. In terms of human development, Singapore is among the top 10 in human development. Switzerland is among the top 10. Why? Because there's a singularity of purpose. And everything is not hinged on politics, it's hinged upon the common good. What's good for the people of Switzerland, people. So, but now, the extreme example in terms of we're still living in deep poverty is what Ghana has been able to accomplish in the last 30 years. Ghana is still a middle income country with a human development index in the 600. Switzerland, Singapore in the 900s. But this is a country that has taken the little that they have and they have built that country. Look what they did to us. We have a closer connection to slavery in the diaspora than Ghana. But Ghana has been able to do what? The year of the return, 30 December. The contribution of the diaspora and tourism to Ghana is in the billions of dollars. Let's look at productivity. Cocoa, for example. Liberia produces less than $3 million worth of cocoa a year. But Ghana is the second largest cocoa producer on the planet next to Cote d'Ivoire. Google Ghana's cocoa exports in 2024. Go ahead, Google that. Google that. Ghana cocoa export. Let's go. Ghana cocoa export 2024.
2024?
Yeah. It's going to come out.
Cocoa.
Yeah.
Export 2024.
That's the cocoa export.
It's coming up. It's about 520. Looking at 20, it's saying here 2023 to 2025. Martin, you're looking for 2020 what?
Google exports.
2024.
1 billion. 1 billion in 2023.
2023.
Yes. 1 billion. But Liberia had only what? 3 million. We have better topography, we have better soil, and we are closer to markets than Ghana. But look at our productivity. So what it means is that the Ghanaians decided early on that we use their competitive and comparative economic advantage to be a major cocoa exporter on the world. Ghana is the second largest gold exporter in Africa. Liberia exported 894.5 million worth of gold last year. A few companies. We have no gold reserve. We have no in terms of manufacturing, the small gold shops on Benson Street, that's all we have. But does King George where the gold came from. Does it look like a city or town where 890 million, almost $1 billion worth of gold was extracted? Think about that, Mr. Williams. Think about that. If you start to think about wealth creation, if you start to think about prosperity, and you have to think about how united a country has to be, how we all have to pull our resources together, human resources, financial resources, and other resources together to make it happen, you will understand why Liberia is a poor country. And I wrote a book. I don't know if you know about my book, Rich Land, Poor Country. It's on Amazon, almost 600 pages. Gives you the historical analysis of why we are a poor country. Because we've neglected to build wealth. We've neglected to build our capacity, and we neglected to build our competitive advantages in the global economy. Every country competes for the piece of the global pie. The global pie is finite. That's what you have, poverty. And you know about economics, it's about what? Scarcity. That's what it's all about. So what? Even in the animal kingdom, right? The strongest animal, the fastest animal are those ones that what? Eat and live. The weakest animal get what? They get eating alive by the strongest. This is survival of the fittest. That's Darwinian. That's part of the jungle. And we are animals. But the difference between us and animals is that we have a higher intellect. We can build cities, we can build countries, and we build relationships that can survive for generations. And that's the difference between us and the animals. And that's what we are. So that's why I just basically started that conversation with that.
Like that, that's just to tell you how well entrenched you are in terms of your background. And I don't know why Liberia is not using an individual like you. I don't know if you've.
Don't narrow it, Mr. Williams. Can I call you Ayiti?
Yes, you can call me Ayiti.
Okay, Ayiti. Don't narrow it to me, because then it becomes very personal, right? Let's narrow it to the best and the brightest of Liberians all over the planet.
Not to cut you off, Mr. Jackson, I know because we have our topic, but I like this introduction. So I'll allow you maybe with some.
I mean, we can segue into the topic. Is fine.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So
let me ask my wife something quick.
Okay, no problem.
Okay?
No problem.
You
so
okay, right?
That's Mr. Jackson. Right? He'll be coming back to kind of give us.
I was just speaking to my wife to ask her if she's okay with the food, and she's fine.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah. I was just telling, man, that she's the love of my life. She's done everything for me. She's, oh my God. I mean, I'm sure you've seen her picture. One of the most beautiful women on the planet. I don't know. I mean, she's so attached to me. She goes everywhere I go. She's just like, there for me. She, her law practice, she left her partners with her law practice, and she's with me in the States now. She lives with me in Gay Town, and she's just there for me. We've been together going to 6 years. And she's just been there, and I just want to use this opportunity to just thank her for all of the wonderful things that she does for me, giving me such, a great life in my last days. And I have to tell her thank you for that. Okay,
Mr. Jackson, I can't thank you any more than what we've done. And
you know what she said? She said she would kill me if I died.
No, you're not dying. Thank you very much, Mr. Jackson, for coming. And I like that introduction.
Yeah.
You have a pretty tight resume there, and not to make this personal, but an individual like you, with all the knowledge that you bring to the table, I think we can still tap into that, because I like the way you started the introduction. Talk a little about yourself, but then when we went right into talk about other countries, their economy. And how Liberia, because Liberia is not even far from those countries, Singapore, Switzerland, in terms of population, even per capita, we pretty much just about the same. So why is it that we're so far behind? And you also in your opening statement, you talk about Ghana. How did Ghana steal this whole year of the return? But I still think that we have an opportunity to leverage, and that's why a platform like this, the We2 Liberians movement, is not just about talking about politics, but we're here to enlighten the people, and that's why we thought to bring you to the platform here so we can dissect or salvage this topic. As you can see on screen, Liberia, to the United Nations Security Council had a seat united at the UNSC, I would say, and you know exactly what that is. Mm-hmm. And then we will pivot a little bit and just talk about restoring moral integrity in Liberia.
So thank you very much. Look, any Liberian should be very happy and proud that Liberia is back within the Committee of Nations after the cataclysmic and devastating 14-year civil war, right? So we're there, and we should be joyful that we're there. But the thing is, how do we leverage the seat on the UN Security Council to promote Liberia's development agenda? How do we navigate the geopolitics? You know, the whole world is changing today with Trump, the rise of nationalism, the nationalist parties around the world. And also the thing about is nationalism is an extremely important thing. America is going to America first. They cut off, for all intents and purposes, USAID is dead. America does not want to be the policeman of the world anymore. America wants to have transactional relationships with other countries. So what is it that Liberia can provide for the United States that we can coexist and we can make it happen? You know, Liberia was responsible for supporting the U.S. efforts, war efforts, World War II, with Firestone, with Robert, right? And then in the post-war economic reconstruction of Europe and Japan, Liberia provided the iron ore, right?
Right.
So after doing all of that, Liberia still is the 8th poorest country on the planet. So how do we leverage our seat on the UN Security Council to market Liberia? Because, you know, everything in this world is about what? Marketing. You know the whole thing about marketing.
Right.
How you sell yourself. If you have a product and you are the best and you don't let people know about that, you're not going to sell that product. So how do we now, as a people, how do we market Liberia? And what is it that we can market to the rest of the world?
So, Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but this is what I did, and it's so important. So I will allow you to continue on that note.
No. You can stop me, because this is not a monologue. This is a dialogue, right?
Okay.
You have interaction. I mean, I have a way of with words. I go on and on. So If you want to stop me anytime, and if you feel that I'm slipping off or veering off, just let me know. Because look, my mind is just basically all over the place because I want Liberia to be everything.
Okay. So for the purpose of our viewers who are,
so we just basically narrow it to this focus. So you want to create a council. So the thing is, how do we leverage it? How do we leverage it diplomatically? How do we leverage it economically? And how do we operate within the geopolitics, with current geopolitical circumstances, to help make the lives of Liberians, to improve the lives of Liberians? I think that's the basic and fundamental question. How are we going to use that in the next 2 years? What is the strategic plan to put Liberia out there? And planning is the basis of anything. As you know that when your mind conceives it, right? And you plan it and then you implement it, right? So what is it that we're going to do? I haven't seen that plan yet. The celebration is over. Now it's time for the hard work. What are we going to do to leverage our seat on the UN Security Council? And that's my question to all Liberians. and to those who are in power.
Great. So this is what I went ahead and did for this conversation today, because I want this thing to floor, and I like what you just brought to the table, question and all that kind of stuff. But first and foremost, what I want us to address here first before we really get into this big, I would say, global platform and diplomatic power, let's take a moment, to look at our own house. Then we will transition into that, which is the most recent issue that occurred. I mean, the loss of our former president, Samuel Doe's wife, Nancy Doe, the widow who lost her husband, and we know exactly what happened. It was all over the news. We would transition back to the issue that has to do with Liberia's seat at the United Nations. So what's your take? What do you think, what would be your perspective on that as we calibrate to get prepared?
Look, we have to just express our condolences to the family, and we'll wish them, well, and we'll move on. Because Nancy Doe right now cannot provide any support for our development. But all we can do is cherish her for the role that she may have played in the history of Liberia. And we must not be judgmental, because I see a lot of people on social media talking about what her husband did and so on and so on and so on and forth. First of all, crimes are not transferable, and therefore you cannot use President Doe's actions against his innocent widow. So let's just be very clear about that. And the other issue about the cow and the family and all of that, to me, is not even, an important factor in our development. It was going to go away in a few days, but we need to go and discuss something that is more substantive. And we hope and pray that her husband's legacy, and we can hope and pray that her children, that they do well, and we can all coexist peacefully in our common patrimony. That's all we can do.
All right. One of the reasons why I wanted to quickly talk about that, because if you look at our topic, we want to talk about restoring morality back in Liberia. I think it's something that's completely lost. So then we'll just quickly go back to our actual, which is the prime topic, this seat of Liberia. Because for our perspective, from my standpoint, I just don't think that Liberians having this at the table is of any benefit to Liberia. But you keep very strong, and you also have some questions that you're posting out there for our listeners. My question to you would be, what does it actually mean for Liberia now to be on that stage, UN Security Council? Do you think we get real influence, or is it mostly just symbolic?
Okay, look. First of all, I think the whole position of UN Security Council is, first of all, is overblown, clearly. Because that seat was just held by Sierra Leone, one of the poorest countries on the planet. And we are ascending to the seat with the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is a lot poorer than we are, and which is a fragile state. But as a Liberian, and because of peace and coexistence, you have to say it's a good thing for Liberia to take the seat. But what is it that we will do with that seat, and how can we leverage that seat? That is an answer that I don't have, that diplomats maybe have. But if it puts Liberia in the limelight, if it gives us an exposure for us to sell ourselves or tell our story, so we can attract investments, private capital finance to the country, that would be a good thing for Liberia. And we can use that also for regional peace and security. We can use that for global peace and security. That'll be good for Liberia. But other than that, it is the year's going to come and it's going to go, and we're not going to be able to detect any significant change in our fortunes by being in the UN Security Council. So it's not a bad thing, but that position on the UN Security Council is overstated, is overblown, and it's been politicized by the current administration because they don't have much to celebrate. Let's just be very clear. I mean, in the 17 months of the JMB administration, you tell me what is the most significant and impactful achievement that you can point to and say, this is not business as usual. Tell me, what is it? So you can look to and say, well, things are changing and they're dealing with the challenges of Liberians, and there's a strategic plan. And in 3 to 5 years, we will start to see the benefits of those. I don't see that. Maybe you do. Maybe you can tell me.
Well, to be realistic, I try to stay away from politics, and it's good that I don't have any alignment, so I can say as I see it. And to be realistic, I would like to, in response to what you just said, in terms of maybe we say infrastructure, we have to try to come out here with some kind of category in terms of healthcare, maybe the poverty line, in terms of the educational system in the country. If we're to look at it from a moralistic standpoint, I think for the most part, it's just like business as usual. I don't see any big difference, because I was in Liberia in September of last year, and some of the things that I saw, I mean, even coming back September up to now, this is more than 6 months. There hasn't been any major change in the country, from holistic. So I would say here that I don't really see any big difference in the country.
Yeah. But that's it. So now what we have to do now is to make a determination as to why there's no big difference, and how can we collaborate to coexist with this new administration so that the new administration can begin to solve the challenging problems in the country. Those are the things that I like to see. I'm not too concerned about UP and CDC. What is this split where there's a bipolarity, where there's like two parties and they're always fighting and comparing it to each other, right? I think we need to go beyond that, because that division doesn't help the country. That constant bickering between the two political parties don't help the country. What helps the country is an alignment of people of goodwill. Well, no matter what your political affiliation is, but people of goodwill must come to the table and to take out their rose-colored lenses, their partisan rose-colored lenses, and just look at each other as Liberians with a common heritage and a common future. That's all we have to do. And that will require a great degree of leadership to make that happen. A leader that doesn't think in partisan terms, but a leader that thinks in terms of nationalistic terms. A leader that understands that the presidency is for all of us. And whatever those powers are that originate from the people, those powers must be used to improve the livelihood of ordinary Liberians. That has to be the strategy going forward. It cannot be about retribution. It cannot be about settling scores. It cannot be about one-upping each other, that I'm better than you are, I can do it better. We can all collectively do it better.
So Mr. Jackson, it seems to me that we both already know the problem that we have in the country and why the country is regressing or has regressed because of the divide that we have, as a country. And you said it, and you made it real clear that I don't think we've gotten to the point where we understand who we are as a people, knowing us as Liberian, what it means to be a Liberian. But what I'm trying to do here is to see how I can bring you back to this Liberia's, I would say, ascendancy to the UN Security Council seat. What specific issue should Liberia push during this particular time on the council? What are our priorities? What would you say?
So let's just ask ourselves first of all, what is the UN? What is the UN system for? Global peace and security, right? And that there are UN agencies that support economic development. So, what is our plan? We must first of all have a plan, customize that plan to fit our own special circumstances, indigenize it. If you look at Singapore has its own unique model of economic development. Ghana has its own unique economic development. You see its competitive and comparative economic advantage, and using the fulcrum, right? And that fulcrum is national unity. We are a divided nation. We just fought a 14-year horrible civil war where we lost 250,000 of our population and displaced 3/4 of our population within and outside of the country. So the question we have to ask is, have we substantially moved away from the fragility, the division that caused us to kill each other to such magnitude? Are we together?
I don't think so.
Are we united? Do we have a singular purpose, a common goal of economic and social development? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. And are we bringing our best and our brightest? Oh my goodness. Liberia used to be a low capacity country with a lot of uneducated people, but not anymore. And you don't look at Liberians just in Liberia, you have to look at Liberians all over the world, wherever they are. It is not the Ghanaian domestic demographic that is growing the economy of Ghana. It is the Ghanaian diaspora that's bringing in the private finance capital. And if you look at even China, since the death of Mao Zedong in 1977-78, it is the Chinese diaspora of Singapore, of Taiwan and Hong Kong, and in the United States that was able to do what? Collaborate and bring in the private finance capital to sell China to the international system. China, 40 years ago, was an extremely poor country, a low-income country. But China now has the second largest GDP on the planet. China is now the industrial hub for all of the countries on the planet. China makes everything, tool and die. They have molds to make almost anything on the planet. There's no other country on the planet that can compete with China in terms of industry and making goods and providing basic services. And China has moved hundreds of millions of people out of poverty just in the last 40 years. Why? Because they saw a vision, the people became united, and they were able to create the enabling environment in China to make that happen. Business friendly. They changed their rules to liberalize the Chinese economy. And then they built the skills. Skills. China has the largest assemblage of skills of any country in the world, and the value chain in production of any other country in the world, there is no country that can compete with China now in manufacturing. It's not possible. All this thing that Donald Trump is talking about, relocating manufacturing to the United States, it's not possible. It's not possible. So what is it that Liberia can provide to the world and do it competitively and do it sustainably? Those are the questions that need to be asked. So we need to bring our best and our brightest. Ask yourself this question. Those people in Liberia that you were there last September, are they our best and our brightest? Is this all that we can show the world, that these people who control our economy, who control our governance system, these are the best and the brightest that Liberia has to offer? Come on, man. Answer that question.
So, Mr. Jackson, and I see where you are, because you keep going back to why our country is so far behind in terms of our economy.
Look,
and even,
what I'm trying to say quickly to you is that UN Security Council seat is a footnote in the development of the country. I mean, you brought it to the topic, we discussed it, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things that are required to build Liberia, a seat on the UN Security Council does not amount to much. It's
exactly, and that's my point. So my thing is, I don't think we ourselves even understand what this means. So do every Liberian even know what this seat means? Shouldn't government make sure that citizens are part of the global, movement too? Look, so I don't think we even understand it, because we went ahead and we're celebrating. So what?
We're celebrating because our leaders.
You've been around for some time now. Could you just talk to us a little bit about Liberia's ascendancy to this seat and what it means to Liberia?
But that's what I said to you.
The P5. Then we can talk about the 10 non-permanent seat. So if you can just talk about it, and then hopefully our audience will be able to understand that.
So my point is this. My point is, let's celebrate, but let's be measured in our celebration and understand the limitations of to have a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council.
That's my point.
Severe limitations. It is not going to transform your country. It's not going to bring the price of rice down. It's not going to decrease the cost of transportation. But it can be a platform that you can use to sell your country to the rest of the world. If you have the plan, and if you you can build the capacity and the human resources to get that done. But it will require strategic planning, strategic thrust. And let's see what happens in the next several weeks and months. Because I can tell you, being a Liberian and understanding the governance system in the country, that UN permanent seat, non-permanent seat, was only be good for an administration to boast that they did it. That's it. I don't see
what good does it really bring to the country.
But I mean, But first of all, but the nature of the seat itself, there are no economic advantages in that. There are no diplomatic advantages in that. But it puts you in a position to sell yourself. That's all it does. And it is left upon you now to use that platform to sell your country, to articulate issues, geopolitics, to articulate issues on global security, to articulate issues on global economic development and cooperation. That's all it does for you. You have to use that now and make those things happen. But this is not It's not automatic. Being on the UN non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council does not automatically give you tangible benefits. It's you that have to leverage that using your own ingenuity, using your own mind to what? To express, to promote, and to sell your country. That's what you need to do.
So you think there's a chance for Liberia to actually call for a permanent African representation at the council?
Look,
I mean, that is non-permanent seat.
okay, so what would be the interest of the 5 permanent council members to give a veto power to Africa as a bloc?
Right.
What will it? Is it in their own best interest to do that?
I doubt it.
Exactly.
No way.
So
No
then, how do you climb over a wall? You go around it, or you break the wall down. Breaking the wall down is too much effort, right? And too much commotion. So what is it that Africa can do that make Africa so powerful that the rest of the world takes Africa seriously? So number 1, treat your people fairly. Create enough economic development in your country so that your citizens are not crossing the Mediterranean in the millions to go to Italy and dying on the ocean. Make your country prosperous enough that your people, there's not an outward migration rate, that every child born in that country reach a certain age, they want to leave Africa and never come back. And if they come back, they're only coming back to do what? To be a dissembly. That's because if Africans are running away from Africa, and Africa is not keeping up with global development, if Africa is not an economic powerhouse, if Africa is not a military powerhouse, if Africa does not have what it takes to exert itself within the geopolitics to make a difference, African countries are poor, with the exception of a few rich countries that are not even rich, middle-income countries on the planet. Mauritius, that's it. Botswana, North African countries, South Africa, that's it. The rest of that African countries, they're sub-Saharan Africa, the poorest region on the planet. Sub-Saharan Africa, the poorest region on the planet, where disease, poverty, ignorance, it resides. So how do you go and make a play to be among the most powerful, the most economically strong countries in the world by having a seat in the Security Council? How do you make that case? How do you justify that?
So then Africa, I think it makes no sense even being on that seat, and this is why I think Africa should now begin to actually find a way, just like you said, to empower herself so that she can be independent.
All 5 countries on the UN Security Council, the permanent members, are all nuclear powers. They're all nuclear.
You got China, you got United States, you got United Kingdom, you got France, and you have Russia.
Yeah, they're all nuclear power.
So then what we're more like many on the table. But the question I want to ask you now, can we also use this seat to highlight the regional issues in ECOWAS?
But you have, so charity begins at home. You have to strengthen your sub-regional organization, which is the Mana River Union, right?
Right.
You have to strengthen that, and you have to make the 4 economies Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and La Cote d'Ivoire. You have to make it an economic powerhouse.
How can we do that?
Yeah, but you have to make it, but having a strategic plan to produce more and sell more to the rest of the world. And you have to do value added so you can be in charge of your own products that you make in your country. You have to make more chocolate in Cote d'Ivoire. You have to manufacture more coffee in the region. You have to process more gold in the region. You have to process more palm oil in the region. You have to improve the lives of your people. Because if the lives of your people, if you start building capacity and you improve the capacity, the skills of your people, right? And if you create a technology hub in the Mana River Union, where the Americans will start coming and start issuing H-1 visas to your techies to go to Silicon Valley to build the next generation of AI level kind of a technology. That's what the United States needs China, because more than half or 3/4 of the PhDs from American technology schools are coming from where? Asia.
So hopefully if we start utilizing maybe our best, just like you alluded to, we start utilizing our best, bring them back, so that they can contribute. We allow them.
But we have to create
the environment,
a structure.
Yes.
And you have to be deliberate about that. Be very deliberate. So
do you think that this particular government has the capacity to do so?
No. You have to say to yourself, we need to build so many technical schools in the next 10 years to produce so many graduates, because these are the demands of the global economy. We have the best scientists, we have the best engineers, we have the best math, we have to have all of these things, and you invest in those. You don't have one good technical college in Liberia that can serve as a conduit to export talent to the rest of the world. You consider somebody from Tubman Institute in Kapamas that you're going to send him to Silicon Valley? Would you send him to Silicon Valley? Would they even accept him?
Well, we don't have the foundation. They don't have
exactly. So then we need to look. No one expects Liberia to transform into paradise with a magic wand, but you can begin to take the baby steps along that direction. And I would never see it. But if you start taking the baby steps in that direction, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 40 years, you have a whole changed country. Countries don't develop by magic. They develop by plan, and they develop by steps, and they develop by processes.
Right.
Everything begins with the first basic steps, the foundation. And if the foundation is not correct, that's why Liberia is not right. Because the foundation on which the country was built is not right. It was based upon a fraud, a fake, that you could get uneducated, mostly uneducated, former slaves to come to a region where they were not born, where they could create a country and Christianize the heathens. Go read my book. To Christianize the heathens and to then spread out and build an African empire. That's not possible. They don't have the culture, they don't have the tradition, they don't have the training, and they don't have the discipline, and they never had the support of the international system to get that done.
So we'll get back to this, because I was talking to, not yesterday, I think we talked about the same thing where he talked about deconstructing, the existing foundation to reconstruct this country. So the fact that, not that we diverted, the country was already was founded on a very poor foundation, is now as a consequence of why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in. So then to bring it back to this subject at hand, do you think that we as a country, Liberia now has the voice to speak against global climate injustices, like how foreign companies take from Africa without giving back? Do you think
so bear in mind that Donald Trump has changed the total trajectory of climate change and environment. He's changed that whole trajectory. So is the world still moving along environmental sustainability? Donald Trump is saying no. Drill more oil. Use more fossil fuel. He's saying that. He took himself out of the global environment movement. He's not going to go to COP30 in Brazil. He's breaking down all of the institutions that were concerned about global warming. So what is our strategic plan now for utilizing our forest resources, using our beaches, our oceans, our rivers, our mountains now to benefit Liberians? There is not that strategic plan. We have, gold coming out of our ears. So do we participate? Do we have equity participation in B Mountain? Zero. Does King George in Grand Cape Mount County look like a city where there's almost $1 billion worth of gold coming every year? Are there Liberians who have shares in B Mountain who would use the income from that to build ancillary industries, create jobs, create skills, create wealth, and create economic sustainability? There are none.
But Mr. Jackson, most time, we have these conversations, we say all this, but when it comes to the implementation, we don't do it. Because the truth is, we know the problem. We know exactly what the problem is.
No, we don't.
I think we've already identified.
No.
Then if you say we don't know, what happens if
you know the symptoms? You know the symptoms of the problem. Okay? Poverty is a condition, but it is symptomatic of a larger challenge, which is what? Ability to think. Intelligence.
But this is the ground which our movement is founded, our ability to think independently. And this is why we opposing to Liberia's ascendancy to the seat or being elected to the seat. It doesn't benefit Liberia. So we got to deal with our house. You're saying everything because we have all the resources to make us
Ayiti, name me one Liberian global think tank. Name me one.
I can't name you one.
There is none. There is none. There is not one Liberian think tank. Name me one Liberian Economic Institute. There's not one. Name me one Liberia Technical College that is filling the demand for technology into AR, into robotics, into the change mechanisms of the future. Zero. Show me one Liberian majority-owned bank on the planet. Zero.
Well, Mr. Jackson, it goes back to the foundation, because we talked about this, I think, several weeks ago when we were talking about re-imaging the educational system of Liberia. So it will not customize our educational system to fit us, that so we can make ourselves better. Then we'll continue to look to the outside world, and this is the problem that we have. So everything is seen.
You can leapfrog all of that. Ghana is leapfrogging. Ghana is leapfrogging. Kenya is leapfrogging. Mauritius is leapfrogging. And you don't have the classic economic development model from agrarian to industrial to technology and post-technology anymore. Countries are leapfrogging. They are
so break it down. What that means, leapfrogging.
Leapfrogging means Liberia missed the opportunity to be an agrarian country, create a landed gentry with a lot of wealth, rubber, coffee, cocoa, whatever, right? Yeah. Create that wealth, use that wealth to build industry, protect that wealth, and put that wealth into financial institutions that are strong, that can intermediate economic development. Without banks, you can't be developed. There's not one Liberian bank majority share owned by Liberia. Never. In recent time. You have 9 banks and 93 branches in Liberia. The total capital of all those 9 banks and 93 branches is about $1.3, $1.4 billion. And that's in what? Capital assets, not in liquidity, right? Not in liquidity. So one bank, because of the minimum capital requirement of only $10 million, one bank cannot lend more than $1 million to a single customer. So how do you build a $5 million factory? How do you build a $10 million factory? How do you go and lease an aircraft? How do you buy an aircraft? How do you make a mechanized farm? How do you do rubber processing? How do you do coffee and cocoa processing? How do you do palm oil production when you don't have the financial capacity to do that? How do you do that? You need money, real money. Switzerland, look at that example again. 9 million people with $884 billion in output. And that is not their in terms of their asset base, though, right? If you go to the asset base, you're talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars.
So that's just liquid.
No, 884 million is just the income that they produce every year.
Wow.
Yes.
So including asset now will even be more.
But if the Swiss banks, they have trillions of dollars in Swiss banks. In terms of their gold reserves, go look at Switzerland gold reserve. Go Google that right now. Google it. Google Switzerland gold reserve. Gold reserve. Let's go see Switzerland gold reserve.
Computer is just very slow.
Gold reserve of Switzerland.
Switzerland gold reserve.
How much? Switzerland gold reserve. What is it?
Hold up.
Let's go.
Switzerland gold reserve are 1,400 tons. I mean, 1,040 tons.
Huh?
This makes Switzerland.
No. Switzerland gold reserve in terms of the dollar value.
Hold up. Let me go here. Hold up, let me put it in dollar amount.
Okay, so 1,040 tons, right?
Right.
1,040 tons.
1,040 tons. That's what it says.
1,040 tons, right?
Yeah.
How many ounces make a ton?
Yeah, see here.
And multiply that by the current price of gold, which is 3,500, something like that, right?
Right.
Let's go. How many ounces in a ton? Okay, 32,000 ounces in a ton, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's 32,000 ounces in a ton. And they got how many? Okay, 32,000 ounces in a ton.
Multiply that by the 1,040 or something.
But the time, so 32,000, 123 times 1,200 tons, right?
I think
so that's 38. Okay, now times 3,555. That's over 1.3 trillion easily. Think about that. A country of 8 million people with $1 trillion plus in gold reserve. The number one export destination for Liberian gold is where? Switzerland. Switzerland is now our number one trading partner. And you guys are, excuse my language, using outdoors to defecate, using plastic to toilet and poo and put it on the building. And
but with all his wealth of knowledge, Mr. Jackson, right? Why would you be out here and not trying to kind of give back? Because I mean, this is what all you're an economist.
So, sir.
Yeah. I don't want you to take it personal. I'm just saying.
But listen to me. Yeah. I don't want to be bothered with Liberian people. I don't.
Okay.
No,
but I see you out there on platforms.
Yes, I do. I just talk. All I can do is just talk to express myself, to express my frustration. That's all I can do.
No, because with the wealth of knowledge that you have now,
but they don't want. There are thousands of Liberians like me around the world who don't talk as much, who are more private. They can attract those people to help them, but they're not interested. So me, I'm in their face to tell them to F off on a regular basis, right? I want to let them know that this is the life that you can have if you just, and I don't even do much.
Well, I think it's better off. The way to be impactful is to kind of lend back your expertise. You can do all of this. We'll get back to the topic, though. I know.
Yeah, but listen to me. I'm not interested in spending the rest of my life trying to change the minds of people who are very resistant to change. You can't change their minds. They're very happy with the leaders that they have.
But you see, I know you and I were talking in the back end, and I told you, I said, the problem Liberia has, one would say politics, is deeply rooted in the quality of persons that the country produces.
That's not Liberia's problem. It's the symptom of the problem. Liberia's problem is the lack of thinking.
But that's it. The way we think.
Yes. So you want me to spend the rest of my life cutting people's head and putting new brains in there?
No, but we can start from somewhere.
But listen to me.
We can start from in-house.
I don't believe they will even begin to listen. They can't. They're not. They don't. I mean, certain countries will always be poor, like Haiti, like Liberia, like DRC, because the culture, the mentality, and the fulcrum of those people that, I mean, it's just like some people will always live in the ghetto. Some people will always So it
almost seemed like to me you giving up on Liberia. You giving up on.
But because it's 177 years that they have not begun to change their ways. I gave up my youth to go to Liberia in 1979. I had all these dreams of making this, oh my goodness, it's going to be a great country. I was going to be a billionaire. We're going to employ tens of thousands of people. It was going to be a great country. There'll be planes flying all over the place. We have the greatest airport. We have the resort. We will have like casinos like Las Vegas. And all those dreams I had him. Liberia will build Bali. Liberia will build like the Dubai. Liberia will have all these things. I mean, that's what I dream. But we can have all those things and better. But the people themselves cannot produce leadership that is better than they are. It's not possible for anybody to rise above. The common denominator in a country is that possible.
So I don't want to get too political now because it seems like I think we the conversation is skewing towards that direction.
No, it's not getting political.
You know, we kind of stay with.
No. Nobody talk. We haven't spoken against Joe Boycott. We haven't spoken pro.
No. I'm not even politically.
We are talking the objective conditions in the country.
True.
Cannot be changed without a complete change of the mentality of the people.
100%, and that's what
that comes with education. It comes with socialization, and it comes with real leadership.
True.
Yes.
100%.
So you don't need too many people, but you need a group of people who are like Lee Kuan Yew, Jerry Rawlings, the people in Botswana. Okay, is that needed a few group of people?
True.
To say that there will be the agents of change in the country and sway their people to understanding the mantle of leadership and of change.
So we need a guy. You can say we need a guy like Trari, or
no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. But it could be a group of people with common ideas. But you would need that. You would need that one magnetic leader,
right,
who is charismatic, who has a vision like a Kagame, who can lead his country. Let's face it, Pikin. Most people are stupid. Let's just face it. There are things that people do all over the world, right? So you need that one leadership, a group of people. But that one leader that can attract the best and the brightest, and they can go and change a whole country. That's what Liberia needs.
All right.
Okay, so on that note, let's say, my man, that's it. Yeah,
well, I got one more question to ask you real quick, and then we can conclude here. Because I mean, you said it all. You know what I mean? I know the topic for today was actually geared towards this Liberia seat.
But I told you that seat does not mean anything significant.
100%.
In the scheme of things, it's not going to help you that much.
Most definitely. But I just want to ask you one last question before we get off. Is there any hope for now? You've lived your life. You've given up on what will be your last word.
No, my thing is that
young folks, because I know a lot of times you guys are on the other platforms.
Oh, listen to me.
Yeah.
I know there will be that leader that will come one day.
Okay.
There'll be a kid from the slum, or there'll be a kid from the village, a kid that will be enlightened, and a kid that will not be a coward, will not be afraid to die, and he will have a vision for the country. And he will be able to attract people of like mind, but it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I can tell you that for free.
So it's a pleasure having you, Mr. Jackson. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you too, and I mean, thanks for inviting me. And I really, yeah. I mean, look, I'm radical, as you can tell, and I don't give a damn. I don't believe in kissing anybody's, rear end. I believe in doing my own thing, and I'm not beholden to anybody. The only thing I'm beholden to is my Liberia, right? But I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, and I certainly don't have the patience to be part of any change movement in Liberia. I'm done. I'm just enjoying the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm just coasting. That's all I can do.
Yes. Thank you again for coming.
Yeah. And send me that link, okay?
Yeah, definitely. I did. I already sent it to your phone.
Okay.
Yeah. I sent it to your regular phone. So I really time, and I look forward to having some topics there.
Yeah.
We can talk about this.
Another time, okay. But listen, like I'm on vacation and I'm doing spoon. I don't even go on spoon that much anymore. Yeah. I try to do 2 or 3 days a week because I'm busy, man. Take care of business.
I want us all to still be optimistic because there's still hope.
But you're young, you can be optimistic. I'm cynical. The cynicism is built in me already.
We've decided to choose optimism over cynicism.
Yeah, but you can do that because you're young.
Yeah. Mr. Jackson, the truth is maybe we don't have to be here because we can be the architect. We can just plan this, like you said, strategically, and then we lay the groundwork. some young men.
Go talk to my friend Dualo, Ansu Dualo, who's trying to raise money, and see his frustration. You know Dualo?
I know. I brought him on the show.
Talk to him. He hasn't even raised $50,000 yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but the same thing. The mindset of the people.
The mindset. And this is a guy, he means very well.
He does.
He has all of the credentials. He's a former Marine, ex-Marine. Okay. He's in leadership position. He has good amount of money. He's a nice family man. You know, he's not trash talking like me. He doesn't have a big mouth. He has a great personality, but all that stuff doesn't help him. Because the Liberian people, they know what they want, They know what they want. So that's what their problem is. They know what they want. So that's the reason why I give a damn about them begin. I did enjoy my life, and I tell them to go take a hike because they will not listen. They think they know everything.
But we're still hopeful. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You know, it was a pleasure having you.
No, but I mean, you gotta be. How can you be pessimistic as a young person? You can't.
I know a lot of young folks that have given up. You know what I mean? Even with the conversation we're having now, they don't really have any aspiration for even returning to Liberia. No hope because of what they see. Some don't even want to return and go back.
But they've been there, and they see how they mess with their money, how they lie to them, how they store their money. You can't get anybody over there you can trust. You could build a house for you. Even though you find a beautiful girl like Liberia, they say, "My man, let me come make left with that girl, bring her to America." That girl will come over here, she will run rough shot over you. You know this whole story begin. The normal thing begin.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Jackson, I'll let you go. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I like you a whole lot, but let's stay.
We're staying in touch.
Once a week, man, so we can. I mean, I see you sharp, very sharp.
Yeah, thank you.
Love your country. Oh yeah, but it's not enough of you. It's not enough of you.
Yeah.
But love you, man. So
love you too.
I will ask you about your family background, all that kind of stuff. Where you from? Well, on the back end, okay, a little more.
Yeah, on the back end. Let's talk about another name. You heard the name Ayiti. That name sounds funny, right?
Yeah. I would talk to you about it because I mean, my mother was Fanti, so I don't know what Ayiti is. Is it Fanti?
Ewe.
It's Ewe. Okay. So that's Togolese. Okay, we'll talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on the back end.
Okay, on the back end. Take care, buddy. Bye bye.
Appreciate it. And that was Mr. Jackson. He had a whole lot to say. I mean, there's still hope for Liberia. I was hoping that we were going to get a little bit more in depth. But yes, he brought his A game, talk about economics and things like that. And that's where his strength is. But before we end, I want us to remember power is not just about where you sit, but what you say and who you speak for when you get there. If Liberia is going to be in that room, I think let it be a voice for truth, justice, and African dignity, not just for applause, but for real change. I think it's time for us all to forge and forget about who we are and all that kind of. Let's not forget about that. I want to leave us with an ancestral quote. And it says, until the lion tells his story, the hunter will always be the hero. And we see it. Our stories have been written by other people. So is an Igbo proverb from Nigeria, So I want to caution us, all Liberian, to speak as a lion, or to speak as a lion boldly and clearly, for all who cannot speak for themselves. Let's continue to speak. Liberia is going to get better. Unfortunately, the country is in the condition that she's in because of poor foundation. I think it's something that we all always talked about. And I really look forward to bringing to the show, some of our elders who can come and just share their thoughts about the direction in which this country is going, because it doesn't even seem that it's going to be any better. But when we talk to people here and there, they have their own perspective, they have their own views. Young and old are giving up because of what we see. But we are still optimistic, It is also said, this is the African proverb, let's say, when the roots of the tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. So if we don't fix our moral core at home, no amount of international seats can save us. I'm your host, Ayiti Williams. This has actually been the We2 Movement Podcast, where we speak truth, not just to power, but from power, ancestral power, moral power, people's power. Have a good night. I look forward to another show here coming up very soon. Hopefully, we'll have all of our other panelists. Due to personal reasons, they were not able to be a part of the show tonight. But I really do appreciate Mr. Jackson. I like his energy. He comes with a whole lot. This is a man with wealth of experience. Here, out of frustration, he said he can't even return to Liberia. So let's continue to pray for this country. Liberia is going to get better. Africa will be better. We believe in that Pan-Africanism concept. If black and white today can walk together, some of the schools that we go to now, before black people could not even attend some of those schools. So when I'm talking to people, I see things from that perspective. We don't have to be around to see that change. We can now begin to lay the framework. We can be the architects. We can lay the foundation. And hopefully, the Liberia that we envisage, we may not be able to see it, but in the long run, our children will come and they'll walk into it. Because the rare truth is what's happening in countries like Rwanda, what's happening even in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and other countries, even Ghana. Those are dreams of people that came before. So this whole concept of Africa independence did not start not even with Nkrumah or Kwame Nkrumah or Thomas Sankara. This is something that the book says that freedom is never ruled on the wheel of inevitability. People came before, Garvey and King. I'm pretty sure before even Garvey came, there were people who came before Garvey. So the struggle for human rights has always been around. It's never going to stop. But the truth, I like exactly what he said. Until we can change the mindset of our people, we change our mindset, we change our thought process. No, we will continue to wallow in the same path, continue to be in the same situation. And this is why we're trying to actually not only propagate, we continue to pitch this, we continue to speak this over and over. Well, why the book says that let this mind that's in me be in you. And this is why the great Christ, before he left, he said it was expedient that he left. Or he said, expedient that I leave, because if I don't go, comfortable. And some people are not even able to comprehend. Look at Liberia, look at the demographic that we have. Young children, some of them from about 1990 to 2025. So many kids never went to school, never sat in classroom. So it's true. And then you go back to how the country was founded, how the country was established. So we have to deconstruct to reconstruct. Get this country. We can't even say, get the country back on par. Whenever, you put down a structure and you don't have good solid foundation, exactly this is what will happen. But there's still hope for Liberia. Like I said to him, we've decided that we would choose optimism over cynicism. So Liberia is going to be better. And so if you're tuning in, this is the We2 Movement Movement platform, your distinct and dynamic platform. This is how we're going to conclude our topic for tonight, was Liberia at the UNSC Crossroads. And that's that seat that we have, non-permanent seat. We're voiceless there. We have no influence. The real truth is we have many on the table. And then we talk a little bit about, morality or restoring moral integrity in Liberia. It's so important. You know what I mean? It's sad. It's really, really sad that our country is in the condition that she's in. But the truth is, there's no way that we will sit back and just relax and feel like, oh yeah, the country is gonna get better on its own. The typical child in Liberia, young man in Liberia, just wants to have money in his bank account, he wants to be represented, maybe he has to build a big house, drive the best car and things like that. But the real truth is, no, who cares about the brother next door or the sister next door? So yes, let's conclude. I look forward to seeing you guys here sometime next week. Hopefully I have the rest of my panelists. Africa belongs to Africa. Liberia belongs to Liberia. Liberia is a subset of Africa. Let's keep up this good fight. Thank you very much for watching. You be blessed and have a good night, good day, good morning, wherever you are. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye.
Simple life. It's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter. Simple.